Right now at 5, we hear from a local business operator bracing for the impact of tariffs.
And fire weather returns today and tomorrow. I'll have those details.
Plus, displaced residents of a destroyed nursing home in Yates Center find shelter in other Southeast Kansas facilities.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Elise Snowy.
And I'm Lindsay Gaffney.
And it's the first day of spring, so it doesn't really feel like it.
No, it's going to be a little chilly today, but tomorrow we'll be back in the upper 60s, so we're looking good. But today we're only staying in the low 50s, so let's go ahead and take a look outside, and we'll talk about, we got clear skies, which is nice, although this morning you're going to wake up to some clouds and even still some wind gusts sticking around. Those winds are going to clear out pretty quickly though, but right now we're still seeing 15 to 20 mile per hour wind gusts, which is better than what we saw yesterday, and they're going to be dying down, so most of the day is looking pretty calm. However, as these clouds clear out, sunny skies, temperatures getting into the low 50s. We're looking really nice, but dry air moves in right behind all of these clouds. So as that all clears out, we've got low humidity. Temperatures are a little bit cooler, so it helps with fire weather today, but so we don't have a fire weather warning. And this morning we are starting off a little bit cooler. Actual feels like temperatures is going to be in the low 20s, upper teens. But we are going to be warming up. Now, like I said, we've got that dry air moving in right behind all of those clouds, so low humidity values dropping down to 20 to 25% across the area. You can see Webb City about 27%, 22% in Parsons, 19% in Nowata. So this is for today. Now, winds are calmer, so we don't have as much of a threat. But heading into Friday morning, we've got another dry line moving through, so a lot of dry air pushing in, with humidity values for most of us dropping below 20%. Pair that with some strong winds, we are going to see that fire weather risk return again. But like I said, we've got a decent day today. Temperatures are cooler on our first day of spring, but fire weather returns, and we even have thunderstorm chances in the forecast. I'll have those details coming up.
All right, we'll see you soon, Lindsay. Well, in the wake of Friday's fire at Yates Center Health and Rehab, the community is showing an outpouring of support. Now, the fire destroyed the facility and displaced the 38 residents staying there. Local sister facilities of Yates Center Health and Rehab opened their doors to welcome residents, including Oswego Health and Rehab, Pittsburgh Health and Rehab, and others. Now, the Pittsburgh location has accepted 7 residents from Yates Center.
Our entire lobby was just full of clothing and furniture and shoes and all kinds of things, toiletries. Our community has just been so incredible.
McLeod asked that the public hold off on donations while they go through what they've already received. Now, she says there are future plans for Yates Center Health and Rehab to be rebuilt. And as we enter severe weather season, homeowners are encouraged to review their insurance policies. Now, while home insurance isn't legally required, it does help protect your property investments. Craft Insurance in Joplin advises people to take a closer look at their coverage, making sure it includes everything needed to cover those unexpected expenses.
Springtime, especially whenever we start seeing the wind, the hail, of course you have a lot of roof damage, siding damage that can happen. And it's also just a good reminder that now's the time to be reviewing your current policies, because that industry, the insurance industry, is so crazy right now.
Now, Kraft says there are a few things he believes you should not insure, and you can learn more on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. And don't forget, you can be the first to know about the day's weather with the KOAM Skywatch weather app. Get those severe weather updates sent straight to your phone free of charge. It's available in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, the KOAM Skywatch weather app. Well, a business in Joplin is among those bracing for the potential impacts of tariffs. Now, this comes as President Trump places tariffs on several countries, citing a desire to crack down on illegal drugs crossing the border. KOAM's Samantha Walker spoke with the small business owner who says she was unprepared for these global issues hitting so close to home.
Augusta Bridal in Joplin is a small business offering a variety of special occasion wear, but the owner says new tariffs in the country are not only drawing concerns for her business, but the entire bridal industry.
I don't think anybody was prepared for it to be so detrimental.
Taylor Augusta Austin says she's been living the American dream for the past 3 years, operating her own bridal shop. But recently, President Trump imposed a 20% total tariff on imports from China, which she says has big impacts for businesses like hers.
I've been so encouraging to my brides and telling them get in sooner rather than later, because I don't know, come December, I could be having to pass that tariff on to the customer.
Many industries have spoken on the impacts tariffs on Mexico and Canada could have. Austin says a lot of products for the bridal industry come from China, and tariffs will have a big impact on price.
One of the most expensive items as women we will ever purchase is our wedding gown. 20% on top of that is something crazy.
She says while she can understand the need to do more U.S.-based production, the new tariffs came so quickly they didn't have time to prepare.
There needs to be structure and a plan in place in order for that change to happen. It just can't happen overnight because it's absolutely taking the small business America away.
The U.S. Chamber of Commerce says tariffs are likely to impact not just small businesses, but also customers. In a statement, they say, quote, "Tariffs imposed by the United States are nothing more than a tax increase on American consumers and businesses. They call this the wrong approach, and that tariffs, quote, threaten to derail our nation's recent economic resurgence." Austin says she, like many business owners, has reached out to Missouri lawmakers to voice their desire for action.
Whether they read it or not, that's up to them, but I know that I'm at least doing my part, calling, sending messages, trying to get the word out and tell people, hey, this is coming, this is going to affect us. Is there any way that you can help?
She says she's not yet heard back from lawmakers, but hopes they've heard her concerns. Reporting in Joplin, I'm Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
Now, tariffs are just one part of President Trump's America First trade policy. In a statement, President Trump says his policy promotes investment and productivity, enhances U.S. industrial advantages, and defends economic and national security. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes, coming up on the KOAM Morning News. A liberal Bulldog receives all state honors in basketball. We'll have the details. Plus, an Italian postal service sees a surge in mail for Pope Francis. And we have a chilly and sunny day today. We'll have what to expect with Lindsay Gaffney in the Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. Pittsburgh State softball is back in the top 25. The Gorillas are ranked 25th in the country in the most recent Division II coaches poll and are riding an 8-game winning streak, entering a doubleheader in Springfield yesterday afternoon. Now, it was a windy afternoon in Springfield. Pitt State against the Gorillas in trouble in the first. Things are loaded. The Rounders third. Batter out at first, but scores. Jordan strikes out and batter and minimizes the damage. Gorillas by 1. Third inning, bases are loaded, 2 out. Jordan with another strikeout to speed the jam. 15 now, runner on base, 2 out. Heather Arnett makes the play. See if he gets out of trouble once again. Now the pitch goes out. 2 without a strikeout. And Heather Arnett gets hit by the better for the Gorillas. They lose 9-1 and get swept in the doubleheader by the Panthers. Pitt State held to just 3 hits in this one compared to 8 from Drury. PSU will hope to shake this one off before another couple of double headers this weekend against Washburn on Saturday and Emporia State on Sunday. Switching gears to basketball, Liberal High School senior and NEO commit Taylor Swarns receives all-state honors yesterday. Now this comes as the Missouri Basketball Coaches Association releases its all-state teams for classes 1 through 3. Swarns helped lead the Lady Bulldogs to a trip to the state final in 2024 as a junior. Now, that year she was also an all-state honoree. Well, it was day 2 of the NCAA Division I men's basketball tournament over in Dayton. We had 2 more play-in games last night before the round of 64 begins tonight. Well, the first game of the night is between a couple of 16 seeds. Mount St. Mary's takes down American 83-72. The Mountaineers won the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference tournament to get here, and their season continues at least for another couple of days. They'll face 1 seed and ACC champion Duke in the round of 64 on Friday afternoon. And after that game, Xavier faces Texas, and this one has been back and forth. Now the Longhorns led by as much as 13 earlier on. Xavier goes on to beat Texas 86-80, which means Xavier will face 6 seed Illinois on Friday night. And still to come, a new study shows promising results for delaying Alzheimer's disease. Plus, Lindsay has a check of the 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Well, good morning. We're having a bit of a cloudier start to the day, and winds are still gusting up to 20 miles per hour out there. Over the next couple of hours, we're going to start to see all these clouds pushing out to the southeast and dry air moving in behind it, but it is still going to be pretty cold. Now, especially with these morning temperatures being around freezing, we're getting down to, or drop another degree or 2, getting down to about 31, 32 degrees, but it feels like 24 degrees out there because of those wind chills and just a little bit of moisture in there. It's going to feel a little bit chillier. Now, we do warm up a bit throughout the day. I mean, a nice jump from freezing temperatures to about 50 degrees by 2 p.m., 52 by 4, and then 53. Now, we've got increasing clouds, as you can see, after about 6 p.m. So it is going to be a little bit cooler today, and the overnight low dropping back down into the 30s. However, upper 30s versus our lower 30s. Now, we also have increasing clouds and light winds. Winds are shifting out of the west to the south as we head into tomorrow, which warms our temperatures tomorrow into the upper 60s. So today we're only getting into the low to mid 50s. Tomorrow, upper 60s. We saw those increasing clouds overnight. So we start off with these clouds in the morning, a little bit of winds picking up through the morning hours into early afternoon. Again, gusting potentially up to 35, 40 miles per hour, even in some areas, maybe a little bit higher. Now, you can see the winds out of the southwest. Those are going to be continuing. We've got a dry front moving in later Friday afternoon. That's going to be pushing in, again, dry front, pushing in around mid-afternoon, 5, 6 p.m. After that front passes, winds lighten up quite a bit as we head into Saturday as well. Now, we talked about the low moisture, low humidity, both today, Friday, and on Saturday. So fire risk does continue, especially with a dry front on Saturday and these warmer temperatures. Now, heading into Saturday morning, we've got these winds shifting back out of the south, temperatures warming right back up to the upper 60s, even hitting 70, maybe 71. So we're 70 in Joplin, Parson, 71 in Veneta, but upper 60s, Yates Center, Nevada. You can see the clouds increasing as well. So this is afternoon, about 4 p.m. We are going to see those thunderstorms popping up. Now, these are elevated thunderstorms, so they're not quite close to the surface, not giving us a huge threat. We are still seeing those thunderstorm chances. Lightning, thunder could be loud, and the greatest threat with this system would be the potential for hail, though that's pretty limited at this time. We have a low risk, and it is just mostly quickly out of here overnight, not moving in until after 10 p.m. on Saturday and into early Sunday morning. Our front passes by about 4 a.m. on Sunday, clearing out, but you might have some lingering showers especially on the Missouri side, into early Sunday morning. So this is about 10 a.m. And then as that passes, temperatures drop a little bit on Sunday down into the mid-60s, but a little bit more Monday, upper 50s before we warm right back up. Tuesday, back into the upper 60s, and then 70s all week long with some pretty low scattered shower chances through the middle of the week next week. That's a look to forecast. We'll be right back.
Well, topping Health Watch this morning, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the FDA are announcing Operation Stork Speed. Now, the goal is to make sure families have more options for safe, reliable, and nutritious infant formula. The announcement comes as Consumer Reports releases a new investigation looking at toxic heavy metals like lead and arsenic in baby formulas. Jared Hill dives into the findings and has some tips for parents.
It's nourishment for millions of babies, but a new investigation from Consumer Reports finds what it calls potentially harmful levels of heavy metals in some infant formulas.
We really want these results to be empowering for parents.
Sana Mujahid with Consumer Reports says their food safety team tested 41 of the most popular powdered infant formulas for heavy metals and other contaminants such as lead, inorganic arsenic, and PFAS, so-called forever chemicals. What were the findings here?
Our findings were mostly good news. There are only 10 that are in our worst choices categories, which had relatively higher levels of lead, inorganic arsenic, and one had BP and acrylamide as well.
There is no source that's going to be zero.
Dr. Mark Corkins is a pediatric gastroenterologist at Lebanon Children's Hospital.
Arsenic is a poison in high doses initially, but we're not talking about that, even close to that. The concern over time is that they're carcinogens. Lead's more of a short-term problem because it affects the ability to make red blood cells and circulation, and it actually has some effects on development.
Consumer Reports has sent their findings to the FDA. In the meantime, scientists say that there are things that parents can do.
Limit your exposure as much as possible.
That includes using filtered water to mix into powdered formula. Parents can also speak with their pediatrician if they want to switch formulas. Mujahid reminds parents to keep the findings in perspective, as these contaminants have also been detected in breast milk, food, and water. She hopes their testing pushes manufacturers to continue keeping safety top of mind, as most products were in their top or good categories.
So some companies are doing something right. And with more testing of incoming raw ingredients and final products, I think all manufacturers could achieve that.
Serving up a healthy start for the next generation. Jared Hill, CBS News, Yonkers, New York.
A Purdue Pharma hopes a bankruptcy judge will approve its reorganization plan. The OxyContin drug maker said under the new plan filed Wednesday, Purdue Pharma will be dissolved and its assets transferred to a new company, and the new public benefit company will focus on the opioid epidemic. Now, this comes about 2 months after Purdue Pharma and its Sackler family owners agreed to a $7.4 billion settlement. The deal will resolve thousands of lawsuits which allege OxyContin pain medication caused a nationwide opioid addiction crisis. Well, some promising news for people likely to develop Alzheimer's disease. A new study shows people who take an amyloid-lowering drug delayed onset of the illness. Now, this study is small, just a few dozen participants, but it's long-term and looked at participants over 17 years. Now, though a placebo control group wasn't included in the study extension, 22 participants cut their risk of symptoms in half over the time span. Now, others did not, and scientists aren't sure why. It only included people with rare genetic mutations that make developing Alzheimer's almost certain. And it's National Poison Prevention Week, a time to highlight potentially poisonous items in many homes that can be attractive yet dangerous for children. Mandy Gaither talks to an emergency medicine doctor about the biggest dangers and how to keep children safe.
It can happen in an instant. Curious children find dangerous things and ingest something they shouldn't have.
I see children in the emergency department who have gotten into something potentially dangerous on a regular basis.
Dr. Manisha Agarwal with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta says there's a long list of potentially poisonous items in homes across the country. U.S. poison centers responded to 2.4 million cases in the latest data from 2023. That's an average of one new case every 15 seconds.
A lot of young kids in particular like to explore the world with their mouth.
To keep kids safe, Agarwal says to store and secure potentially poisonous items up and away from little hands. This includes cleaning products, button batteries, craft supplies, THC or Delta-8 gummies, liquid medicines, laundry pods, motor oil, and prescription medications.
We like to think about pill bottles being child-proof, but they aren't. They're actually child-resistant.
If you suspect your child has ingested something dangerous, first make sure they don't have any more of it. If the child is breathing and has a pulse, call poison control. If possible, ask the child what they swallowed, how much, and find out the strength or dosage. If it's a cleaning product that was ingested, take the bottle with you to the hospital.
One thing parents should absolutely do is store the Poison Control Center number in their phone. That number, no matter where you are in the United States, is 1-800-222-1222.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Well, we've got a cooler start this morning. Temperatures right around freezing. We do warm up to low 40s by noon, but this wind chill in the morning is going to be dropping down into the lower 20s and upper teens. So it's a cold start to our day, but we do have a warmer weekend and fire weather concerns return as well. I'll have more details right after this.
Right now at 5:30, the Family Resource Center adds a new facility in Pittsburgh.
And we have a cooler day today, but fire weather concerns do return as well.
Plus, families looking for help with their heating bills turned out to the Pittsburgh Public Library.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:31. I'm Elise Snowy.
And I'm Lindsay Gaffney.
It's Thursday, March 20th, first day of spring.
Yes.
And yesterday was not a fun weather day.
No,
I mean,
it
maybe
wasn't.
Fun for you guys, but not for me.
You know,
being outside.
Weather is fun, I
Right.
would say in general, but yeah, it was not great being outside. A little rainy, a little kind of gross and dreary.
Yeah.
Today, it's the first day of spring, like you
Right.
just said, but doesn't feel like it. Temperatures are around freezing right now, and then just getting up to the low 50s today. So we can go ahead and take a look outside. Outside of the cooler temperatures today, overall, it's going to be a good day. We have the day starting off with a little bit of clouds overall and some winds gusting still kind of remaining from yesterday. But temperatures are getting up to the lower 50s, and it's going to be sunny, mostly sunny through the morning. Once those clouds clear out, temperatures warm up pretty quickly, low 40s by 11 a.m., and then we're getting into the low 50s for the high of the day. Now, we're starting off this morning a little bit chilly, and like I said, with still some winds gusting. So our feels like temperature is down in the low 20s, upper teens. So it's still going to feel pretty cold outside, though we do warm up. Now, winds right now gusting 15 to about 20 miles per hour. You can see they're continuing to push out to the southeast, and then we're looking good. We've got a northerly breeze, and clouds are also clearing soon as well over the next couple of hours. Once that happens, a lot of dry air moves in from the west, northwest. Now, outside of that, we're not expecting any rain chances for the next at least 24 hours. The fire weather concerns is going to be what we're focused on over the next 24 to 48 hours. So we have humidity values dropping once all the clouds clear out. Like I said, dry air moving in, dropping from 20 to 30%. So it's not a huge risk today. So we don't have fire weather warnings or watches today, but it is just an elevated fire risk. Now heading into Friday, temperatures warm back up. We're in the upper 60s, low 70s across the area. Humidity values drop below 20% for most of us because of that dry line that's pushing through, and winds are going to be gusting as well. So we've got that going on. On top of that, we also have thunderstorm chances in the forecast, and we have a look at your forecast coming up.
All right, Lindsay, thanks. Well, yesterday, a low-income energy assistance event at the Pittsburgh Public Library helped people struggling with their winter heating bills. Now, staff from the Kansas Department for Children and Families provided application assistance. This event offered an opportunity to get help before winter bills stack up.
Every year, I believe my team has 42 events this year around the state. Generally, we come to libraries because they have the computers that we can use. Some of these people are very computer literate, and we just kind of coach them on what this means and where you need this and why you need your spouse's social security number because they live in the house.
Now, if you do need help with your energy bills, we've provided a link to sign up for assistance in this article on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. And the Family Resource Center in Pittsburgh cuts the ribbon for its expanded location. The facility is located just behind the Mercy Hospital and will provide for 58 infants and children. Executive Director Ann Elliott says with a new facility comes new leadership.
I don't feel like I have to be over here every day. We'll provide guidance, but she's been working at our center for about 4 months now, kind of getting used to things and the way we work it. And so it'll be a smooth transition for her. It'll be great. Probably a little quieter here for her. Yeah.
Now, the new facility was funded by a $1.6 million grant from the state of Kansas, and a portion of ARPA funding from the commissioners of Crawford County was also granted. That totaled over $288,000. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Over 100 Ukrainian prisoners of war return home, the latest Russian prisoner swap. Plus, Israeli troops launch airstrikes on Gaza after the ceasefire collapse. We'll have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. Well, topping World Watch, NASA astronaut Sunny Williams' ancestral village in India throws a celebration after her return from the International Space Station. Williams and fellow astronauts Butch Wilmore were stuck on the ISS for 9 months. Their SpaceX capsule parachuted into the Gulf of America, formerly known as the Gulf of Mexico, in the early evening on Tuesday. People in Gujarat, India, celebrated with drums, dancing firecrackers, and prayer ceremonies. Now, many school children and teachers also joined in. One school teacher called Williams, quote, the princess of space. Williams' father migrated from their village to the United States in 1957. And Pope Francis receiving an outpouring of support from around the world. The Italian Postal Service reporting it's handling a surge in mail. On some days, it's up more than 300 pounds per day since the Pope's hospitalization on February 14th. Now, some letters clearly are written by children, others bearing stamps from around the world or simply addressed to the Pope at Gemelli Hospital in Rome. The 88-year-old pontiff marked 1 month in the hospital on Friday, where doctors now consider his condition stable and slowly improving after a critical period. Well, 175 Ukrainian prisoners of war have been released from Russian captivity. And one of the largest prisoner exchanges since the start of the war, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said soldiers, sergeants, and officers were among those returned at an undisclosed location within the country's borders Wednesday. Now, some were severely wounded. An additional 22 Ukrainian service members were returned home through separate efforts outside the formal exchange process. Now, all those who returned will receive immediate medical and psychological assistance. Zelensky expressed gratitude to the Ukrainian team working on prisoner swaps and to international partners, particularly the United Arab Emirates, for facilitating the exchange. Well, Israeli troops have taken to the ground and sky in attacks on Gaza following the collapse of its ceasefire deal with Hamas. Now, it comes as many in the country appear in opposition of Israel's renewed attacks and amid fears over the fate of the remaining hostages. Trey Gingst reports from Tel Aviv.
Thousands of protesters gather in Jerusalem to demonstrate against the Israeli government. They're calling for a return to the ceasefire and the protection of the Shin Bet intelligence chief. Prime Minister Netanyahu plans to fire him over disagreements about who is responsible for the failure in intelligence that led to the October 7th attack.
I want the hostages back. I don't want the war to restart. I think our government is not doing what it should in the interests of the people, but it's self-serving.
Less than 50 miles away, the Israeli Air Force continues to pummel the Gaza Strip with airstrikes as the war intensifies. Wednesday afternoon, the Israeli military announced that ground forces have now entered Gaza and are recapturing territory in what is being described as a limited operation. Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, says more evacuation orders will soon be issued for Palestinian civilians as the military campaign expands and Israel reclaims part of the strategic Netzarim supply corridor.
If all the Israeli hostages are not released and Hamas is not expelled from Gaza, Israel will act with an intensity that you have not seen.
Palestinian civilians are continuing to bury the dead killed by Israeli bombs, while regional leaders like Jordan's King Abdullah are condemning the return to war.
Israel's attacks and its blockade of aid, water, and electricity to Gaza are escalatory measures that risk the lives of a severely vulnerable population. The ceasefire must be restored, and the flow of aid must resume immediately.
Israeli officials continue to coordinate with the Trump administration over the war in Gaza, though no diplomatic breakthroughs are expected in the days ahead.
And that's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Well, it's a cloudy start this morning, but overall today's going to be a good day. A little cooler, but not so bad. So we had that system pass last night. We're still having some lingering clouds in the area. Once they clear out, we have a lot of dry air moving in, but this morning temperatures are still rather cool. So we're getting down another degree or two, dropping down around or just slightly below freezing. But our feels like temperature, because we do still see some winds gusting 15 to 20 miles per hour, we have a wind chill value of about 24. So it's going to feel like it's in the mid-20s, and even as we get a little bit cooler throughout the morning hours, we're going to drop down. That future feels like temperature is going to be a little bit cooler than that as well. Now, humidity is pretty high right now, but over the next several hours going to be continuing to drop as these temperatures warm up. Planning your day, so by 2 p.m. we're getting into about 50 degrees, so a little bit warmer, still rather cool though in general, a little bit lower than average. 52 by 4 p.m., 53 for the high around 6 p.m. We also have increasing clouds later on this evening. So overnight tonight, we're going to be partly to mostly cloudy. Light winds, though, out of the southwest. They are shifting from the west to the south, and temperatures dropping back down into the 30s, but upper 30s, not lower 30s this time. Now, a warmer day tomorrow as well. Now, the clouds start to clear out. We've got winds increasing through the morning hours into early afternoon, which increases our fire risk, especially with these warmer temperatures. We're getting to about 67, 68 degrees, so not too warm. This is going to be right about average, but we also see winds picking up as well. Like I said, in the morning, so it's about 7 a.m., gusting up to 40 miles per hour. We kind of stick around that 40 to 45 mile per hour range through most of the morning into early afternoon. And then we see that front pass. Now, it's a dry front, so we're not expecting any rain chances along that boundary. By 11 p.m., winds are much calmer, and they're out of the northwest. So we're looking pretty good. Now, our next chance of rain is going to be on Saturday. So here's our dry front passing by about 6 p.m. Temperatures again getting into the upper 60s, clear skies through the evening, but clouds increase on Saturday, but we do get up to about 70 degrees. So we're in the upper 60s, low 70s for our high on Saturday. And then, like I said, we do have our thunderstorm chances. We've got these increasing clouds. Winds have shifted back out of the south. So we're getting that warmer air moving in, a lot of moisture as well right before the system moves through. And then we have some thunderstorms that are going to be moving in along I-44. Now, it bounces around. Timing is pretty accurate on this. We are seeing those storms moving in after about 10 to 11 p.m. Saturday and clearing out early Sunday morning, but they're kind of bouncing around for our central counties, maybe a little bit further south. We might see that trend continue. Now, the threat is going to be mostly just a normal thunderstorm, your regular spring thunderstorms, not a huge threat. We've got the low risk for severe weather, and then you can see it kind of clears out, starting to clear out from 4 a.m. to about 10 a.m. Might have some lingering showers there. But these are elevated thunderstorms, so we're not seeing a huge threat at the surface, but rain, thunderstorms, and worst case scenario would be some hail as well from some of these elevated thunderstorms. But those will clear out pretty early Sunday, dropping our temperatures to mid-60s Sunday, upper 50s on Monday. And then we're warming right back up next week. We have scattered shower chances throughout midweek next week, but temperatures are back into the 70s. So we're looking pretty good. That's a look at your forecast. We'll be right back.
Well, streaming and movie previews now in today's Hollywood Minute. David Daniel reports.
For years, we've been afraid of them. Now it's time for them to be afraid of us.
We need to hold those terrorist rebels accountable. They need to be reminded who they're dealing with.
We can't just let them win.
Mayday's working on a plan to kill extremist commanders. If you want to fight, then let's fight together.
The official trailer is out for the 6th and final season of The Handmaid's Tale. June and her allies set out to take down the fundamentalist theocratic dictatorship Gilead. The revolution begins with 3 episodes premiering April 8th on Hulu.
Hey Dad, it's me.
Gotcha. Leave a message.
Hi.
Mailbox is full.
If I'm not the same, is that okay? So I went searching for him. Dad? And I accidentally found another Bob Trevino. Bob Trevino likes your comment.
A woman estranged from her father looks for him online and connects with another man with the same name in Bob Trevino Likes It. Barbie Ferreira and John Leguizamo star in the film, based on a true story from writer-director Tracy Lehman. Bob Trevino Likes It is in theaters Friday. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Well, a group of people police say robbed a gas station used a very unique tactic to aid and abet their crime. Live snakes. How about that? Well, Jeremy Roth has today's Take a Look at This.
A bizarre alleged robbery caught on camera in Tennessee shows suspects seemingly using live snakes to pull it off. According to the Madison County Sheriff's Department, 4 suspects entered a gas station in Jackson wielding 2 live ball pythons as they confronted the clerk. It's not clear whether the non-venomous pythons were used as a distraction or in a threatening manner, but officials are asking for the public's help in identifying the suspects, whom they say made off with $400 in CBD oil before taking off in this vehicle captured on surveillance. In other non-sketchy exotic animal news, Michigan DNR officials were excited to report the first sighting in more than 100 years of cougar cubs living in the state's wild. According to a DNR specialist, the 2 cubs were the first verified since the big cats were hunted out of existence in the state in the early 1900s. Over the years, there have been verified sightings of adult male cougars, but the agency says this recent confirmation of cubs could signal the first known reproduction of the endangered species in modern times in the western Great Lakes states. Finally, in what to expect when you're expecting a dolphin news, staff at Chicago's Brookfield Zoo recently gave a sneak preview to Allie, a bottlenose dolphin expecting a calf birth this summer, through an underwater ultrasound, part of her regular trimester checkups, which according to the zoo are only made possible through the trusting bonds built between Allie and the staff. Aw, look at that smile, she's so happy! Nope, just hungry. Well, we are all happy for her. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
The dolphin was certainly adorable. Stick around, we'll be right back. Well, it's time to shine a light on famous amphibians. Today is World Frog Day, and the day was created to raise awareness about providing frogs with safer environments, also to shine a light on threatened frog species worldwide. Animal experts say frogs have been around for roughly 256 million years. There are more than 7,800 frog and toad species globally. Reportedly, there are a couple thousand under threat of extinction. And winter's grip has finally loosened and longer, sunnier days are on the way. Today is the first day of spring, and the first official day of the season represents the vernal equinox in the northern hemisphere. Now that's when the sun aligns with the Earth's equator. Now, while some regions may still see a late season chill, the promise of blooming gardens, outdoor adventures, and patio season is finally here. You can celebrate the day with a picnic, a stroll through the park, or just crack open a window and enjoy some fresh air.
Well, we've got cooler temperatures today. The winds have died down through this afternoon. This morning we're starting off with temperatures near freezing, so around 31, 32 degrees, plus still some wind sticking around from yesterday, which brings our wind chill down to low 20s, upper teens. They do warm up. We head into the weekend with warmer temperatures back to average on Friday, mid to upper 60s. Plus, the winds return as well. Now, fire weather risk is going to be a big threat for Friday and even through early Saturday in the day, but Saturday night, we've got thunderstorm chances lingering until early Sunday morning.